we started talking about it, it's like, what are we going to be inspired by? Are we going to be inspired by Doom 3 and the more modern Wolfenstein games? Or are we going to be inspired by Doom 1 and 2? What do we feel like a new Doom should feel like?
Rock and roll, that was kind of like our inspiration for everything. There's a lot of heavy metal in our hell. When you look at the original Doom 1 and 2, we always said that it looks like the kind of stuff that some 15-year-old would draw on the back of his notebook during math class. We really wanted the world to look like that, you know, to have a certain amount of personality. There's a lot of skulls, and it's kind of over the top, and a lot of chains and things, a little bit of Castle Grayskull in there, you know, it's very kind of He-Man-ish. Because we think that that stuff's kind of over the top, very comic book, sort of exaggerated, and we wanted that stuff to come through in our game because we felt like that's what we saw in the originals. Personality is king, like in everything. Like the Mancubus, for example, he still is a huge guy with double guns on his arms and tubes on his shoulders, but he definitely kind of has like a unique look of his own, but the personality is still the same. And that's the thing that we really tried to capture, was like, what is the personality of this character? How do people identify with it, and what makes it iconic? So that way fans could look at it and know that, like, oh yeah, that's a Mancubus and that's a Cyber Demon and stuff.
The UAC is like this, you know, mega corporation. You want to build these massive facilities on Mars, and you know, it's got a very heavy industrial feel to some of it, where they're doing a little bit more of the kind of mineral processing and mining and almost the underbelly of the UAC.
In some of the industrial spaces, we use bones as an inspiration. We wanted to make it feel like you were inside the carcass of a creature with all these industrial braces that kind of look like ribs.
Where the workers would be sweating and, you know, working in harsh conditions and really dangerous. And then you go to the kind of almost pseudo-utopian corporate facility.
Which is very clean and visually kind of looks like a science lab, like NASA.
That is much cleaner and more pristine, but still very covered in blood after the invasion.
It was interesting because I think when you make a sci-fi space, you always want to go crazy and put stuff everywhere, but we purposely tried to be somewhat reserved with our clean science lab type spaces. So that way it would contrast the busier blue-collar and industrial spaces, and the player would get a break from that look so that, you know, it wouldn't get repetitive.
And then you spend some time in hell. We use a lot of skulls as iconic elements. You end up traversing through several skull heads. It takes place in a location in hell called the Titan's Realm, which was constructed from these dead, ancient demons that were the sizes of buildings. You get this sense of like, there was something living here that was so ancient and so old and so massive that, like, what realm am I in? The art team has really tried to infuse a lot of color into the world and bring a level of vibrance to things and create a world that it feels like the demons fit in. I think our art team has done an amazing job of taking, you know, this industrial feel, this corporate feel, and then hell, and really crafting it so that it feels believable, but it also has to maintain some level of, man, this is freaking awesome, I'm in this badass hell level.